Hello lovely viewers, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful News official YouTube channel, your top destination for the most explosive CBS soap updates. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and give this video a huge thumbs up. The baptism begins, Poppy's shattering confession to Finn: Luna isn't his child. The Forrester guesthouse was eerily silent, except for the rhythmic ticking of the antique wall clock and the occasional rustle of the trees outside. The air was thick with expectation, and not the kind that brings joy. No, this was the type that suffocates, the kind that suffocates a secret that has been buried far too long. Inside, Poppy stood near the fireplace, her hands trembling around the edges of a baby blue baptismal blanket she'd kept tucked in her drawer for years, a silent relic of the story she had never dared to share, until now. Finn entered the room cautiously. He'd been summoned by Poppy with an unusually cryptic message: "It's about Luna. Come alone. It's time." Her voice on the phone had been hushed, strained. He'd assumed it was about Luna's future. Her recent erratic behavior had worried everyone, especially after that night at Il Giardino when she'd almost collapsed from emotional exhaustion. But he hadn't expected this. He hadn't expected the entire foundation of his connection to Luna to be ripped out from beneath him like the tide retreating from a sandcastle. "Thanks for coming," Poppy said, barely above a whisper. She looked older somehow, the strain of years pressing down on her in the shape of fine lines and guilt. "I always come when it's about Luna," Finn said, trying to keep his tone steady. "Is she okay? Is something wrong?" Poppy looked up at him, eyes glossy. "She's fine. She's at the Forrester compound with RJ and Zend. She doesn't know I asked you to come." "Why the secrecy?" Poppy's breath hitched as she sat down, motioning for Finn to join her. "Because I need to baptize a truth I buried, and I don't know how you'll react once it rises." "Poppy, what are you talking about?" His voice began to rise, laced with confusion. She handed him the baby blue blanket. "Do you remember this?" He stared at it. His mind rewound years, flashes of moments with Luna, times when she'd clutched this very cloth during moments of illness or sadness. Of course. This was Luna's. "You gave it to her when she was sick once and said it belonged to someone special." Poppy nodded. "It belonged to her. But the story I told you, that you were there when she was born, that we were a family, that you were her biological father, it wasn't true. It was never true." Time paused. "What?" Finn's voice cracked like thunder rolling across storm clouds. Poppy clutched her arms, as if bracing for impact. "I lied, Finn. About everything. You told me I was Luna's father. You swore." His voice climbed in volume, disbelief stretching into fury. "After everything I've done to protect her, to defend her from everyone, including my own mother, and you're telling me I'm not her father?" Tears began to fall from her eyes, slow and steady, like the first raindrops before a downpour. "I wanted to believe you could be. I wanted it so badly, Finn. You were the only man I was with during that time who would have given Luna a chance at a real life. I clung to the hope that maybe, just maybe, you were her father. But I knew. Deep down, I always knew it wasn't true." Finn stepped back as if struck. "Who was her real father then?" "Who?" Poppy looked away. "It doesn't matter. Don't you dare say that. It matters to me." Finn roared. "You told me I had a daughter. You let me believe I had a family. You watched me bond with her. You watched me protect her. You watched me suffer through Sheila's attacks on her. You stood there, silently watching, while I fought for her as my own." "I thought I was protecting her," Poppy said in a trembling voice. "I didn't want her to grow up knowing the truth about her real father. He's not a good man. He's dangerous. He could have taken her from me, from all of us." Finn's jaw clenched. "So, what? You used me as a shield? You baptized me in your lie, thinking it would protect you from the truth catching up?" Poppy nodded slowly. "Yes. I used your goodness, your name, your role at the hospital, everything. I used it all to build a safe world for Luna. And I hated myself for it. You should, Finn spat. You should be ashamed. You let me raise her in my heart. You let me believe I had a daughter. And now what? You expect me to just let that go? No, Poppy whispered. I don't expect anything. But I had to come clean. I couldn't live with the lie anymore. Especially not with Luna looking at me every day and asking questions I can't answer. She deserves the truth. You deserve the truth. Finn shook his head, trying to process the weight of her words. Does she know? No. Not yet. But I wanted to tell you first. You were the one who gave her the stability she needed when I couldn't. You were the one who made her believe she was loved, even when I was too afraid to do it right. You betrayed me, Finn said coldly. You betrayed her. I know, Poppy said, her voice breaking. But there's something else. Something worse. Finn turned back sharply. What now? Sheila knows, Poppy revealed. What? She's known for a while. She cornered me weeks ago. I don't know how she found out, probably one of her old contacts. But she's been using it to manipulate me. Threatening to expose me if I didn't keep my mouth shut. If I didn't stay close. Finn's body went rigid with rage. She's blackmailing you? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was scared. Poppy cried. I was scared of losing everything. Of losing her. But now Sheila's pressing harder. And I'm terrified she'll tell Luna first, and twist everything. I had to beat her to it. Finn's hands curled into fists at his sides. If Sheila tells Luna, she'll never trust either of us again. This will destroy her. I know, Poppy sobbed. That's why I'm telling you now. We have to do this together. We have to tell her before Sheila does. We have to cleanse this mess with honesty, even if it means losing her love. There was silence. A long, bitter silence. Then Finn slowly turned to face the framed photo of himself and Luna on the mantel. She was 8 years old, giggling in his arms, eyes shining. You don't get to decide how I move forward, he said finally. You don't get to baptize yourself clean with one confession. I'll tell Luna. Not you. I owe her that. Finn. And if Sheila makes one move toward her again, he growled, I will end this once and for all. You tell your monster friend to stay away, or she'll face me. Not the kind doctor. Not the devoted son. But the man she nearly destroyed once. And next time, she won't get off so easily. Poppy nodded tearfully, hands trembling, heart shattered by the weight of her confession. Finn walked toward the door, pausing only once. I may not be her biological father, he said, his voice soft but firm, but I am her dad. And nothing you say can take that away from me. With that, he walked out, toward Luna, toward the truth, and toward the storm that would change everything. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers update for Monday, July 14th, reveals that John Finnegan will struggle over Luna Nozawa's death while Liam Spencer faces a scary medical reversal. At the sanitarium, Sheila Sharp will wish she could have set up a way to help Luna embrace her alternate chance. That's commodity Sheila was suitable to do, but Luna came unglued with this sandhouse fermentation rather. Deacon Sharp obviously was enda addict of Luna and all the horror she caused, but he'll know how hard this is for Sheila. B&B spoilers say Deacon will continue to play the part of probative hubby and will give Sheila all the comfort she needs. As for Finn, he may bond with Sheila a bit as they both suffer for Luna. Finn clearly did authorize of Luna's monstrous jest. But he also remembers a time when Luna was a cute sprat who looked up to her big kinsman. Of course, Finn eventually set about he was Luna's natural father, so he'll no doubt suppose about all the times he missed out on with her. However, he'll feel confident effects would have turned out so tragically, if Finn had been in Luna's life from the launch. Still, Lee seems to be keeping a massive secret that's going to affect plenitude of crucial players on Oil. All signs point to Luna actually being alive, so Lee will have to keep that news under wraps and cover her tracks along the way. Over with Liam, it looks like he has an unsettling medical reversal in his future. Liam will bear another surgery as soon as possible, so Bill Spencer will face a delicate waiting game as Grace Buckingham takes action in the OR. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Bill will get some delicate excrescence updates in the coming occurrences and will take matters into his own hands regarding Liam's care, so don't miss all the twists and turns ahead. From the design office, Hope called to check in on Liam. He was as upbeat as he could be and said he'd talk to her the coming day. When she hung up, Hope cried in Carter's arms, saying it was hard to accept that Liam was going to die. Carter assured her, and they talked about how she didn't know how to tell Beth. Hope was thankful for the time they had with Liam, but time was limited. Carter allowed. Liam wouldn't want her to concentrate on what he was going to miss and concentrate on good recollections rather. Hope lamented that Liam was being burgled walking his son down the aisle or holding his grandchild in his arms. Carter agreed they all merited further time. Hope noted that indeed in the face of death, Liam was upset about everyone differently. I really believe there isn't anything Liam wouldn't do for his family, Hope added. Finn and Lee talked in his office at the sanitarium about Luna, and how Lee had no stopgap for change. After Lee got called to work, Finn reluctantly heeded to Sheila's dispatches. Each bone got more hopeless for him to call her back and to be careful. Finn tried to call Steffi, but she wasn't answering. Liam called Finn, looking for Steffi, as she wasn't answering his calls moreover. Finn told him that commodity wasn't right, he could feel it. He said that Sheila had been calling him to advise him about Luna and that Steffi was at the sandhouse. Liam said he was near than Finn was to the art academy, and that he'd head there rather. Finn asked him to call him when he set up Steffi to let him know that everything was okay. At the Sandhouse Art Center, Sheila and Luna scuffled with the gun. Steffi watched in horror as a shot chimed out, and Sheila dropped to the bottom. Luna also turned the gun on Steffi. Steffi wanted to call an ambulance for Sheila, but Luna told her to let her suppose and kept the gun refocused at her. Sheila also asked Luna to call an ambulance. You were shot in the bottom, Grandma. It's not like you're going to die, Luna snapped. She also blustered at Steffi about her nonage and how she demanded a relationship with her father. Luna wanted Steffi to consider the pain that she was in. Steffi said she felt bad for what Luna had been through but couldn't excuse the crimes she had committed. Luna said she just wanted a little access to her father, and that was all she was asking. Asking with a gun in your hand, Steffi corrected her. Luna wouldn't let Steffi indeed wrap Sheila's bottom. Steffi told Luna that she had tried to kill her, and now she shot her own grandmother. Steffi admitted she did feel bad about Luna's nonage and that perhaps, just perhaps, if Finn had been her pater growing up, she'd have turned out else. So you do understand? Luna heaved. Steffi shook her head and told Luna that she'd no way feel safe around her. She said again that Luna was going to captivity and she'd no way have access to Finn. Steffi reminded her that she was hurt on the line while war, and she carried through with her pitfalls. Luna realized it was over for her. Just also, Liam burst through the door. Seeing Luna with the gun, he ran over and tried to take it down. Luna and Liam scuffled with the gun, and it went off. Steffi screamed, and Luna looked shocked as Liam stumbled backward, a pellet crack in the middle of his casket. Liam fell to the bottom as Steffi rushed to him. Sheila couldn't get up, so she seized an Art Force box and knocked it to the bottom. As Luna turned to see what crashed, Liam jumped up and seized the gun from her, pointing it at Luna. She began to mock him and said he didn't have the guts to do anything to her and called him weak. I'm a dead man anyway, Liam said as he pulled the detector. Luna fell to the bottom as Finn rushed by, trying to reuse the scene with 3 people on the bottom, bleeding. Steffi! Finn yelled. Sheila told him she was fine and to save Liam. Finn looked at Luna, lying motionless on the bottom, a pellet crack in her side. Steffi agreed with Sheila and prayed Finn to save Liam as she called an ambulance. Liam weakly heaved, save as the screen turned white. The soft hum of hospital monitors underscored a morning unlike any other, as the long and winding corridors of University Hospital seemed to pulse with tension. John Finnegan stood quietly in a sterile hallway, shoulders tight with guilt and grief. The death of Luna Nozawa weighed heavily on him, a haunting sorrow that refused to loosen its grip. Though Luna had devolved into chaos and cruelty in her final days, Finn couldn't erase the image of the bright-eyed child she used to be. She once adored him, idolized him like a hero. He remembered the way her small hands used to reach for his, trusting and innocent, long before the darkness crept into her heart. And now, that child was gone. But perhaps even more painful than the loss itself was the brutal truth behind her parentage. Luna had died before she could fully accept or embrace the fact that Finn was her biological father. That revelation, which had emerged too late, made the grief deeper. What if he had known from the beginning? What if he had been there as a guiding force in her life? Could he have saved her? Could everything have been different? These were the what-ifs that tormented Finn, looping endlessly through his mind like a cruel film reel of missed chances and buried secrets. As he tried to process the overwhelming guilt, his thoughts drifted to his mother, Lee Finnegan, who had orchestrated and hidden so much. Finn was beginning to suspect that Lee was still keeping something massive from him. Something that could change everything again. Whispers and glimmers of hope suggested that Luna might still be alive. A desperate notion, maybe, but in this town, the line between life and death was rarely permanent. Back in the hospital room, Sheila Carter lay recovering, her foot bandaged following a gunshot wound inflicted during the chaos at the Beach House Art Center. Grace Buckingham hovered nearby, professional and focused as she monitored Sheila's vitals. Sheila was surprisingly introspective. Despite the pain, her mind wasn't on herself, it was on Luna. "I tried to help her," Sheila whispered, tears glossing her usually steely eyes. "I wanted her to embrace the second chance I never had, but she just spiraled. She couldn't take it. She broke." Deacon Sharp entered, placing a gentle hand on Sheila's shoulder. "You did what you could," he murmured, despite not being a fan of Luna himself. The horror Luna had unleashed would never be forgotten, but even Deacon could see how deeply her death affected Sheila. In this moment, he wasn't her critic. He was her rock. Meanwhile, across the city, Hope Logan had just gotten off the phone with Liam Spencer. His voice was weak but hopeful, as upbeat as someone with an inoperable brain mass could be. He told her he'd call again the next day. But as the line disconnected, Hope's composure shattered. She broke down in Carter Walton's arms, sobbing into his shoulder as the reality of Liam's fate loomed over them. "I don't know how I'm going to tell Beth," she wept. "How do I tell our daughter that her father won't be there to walk her down the aisle? That he'll never meet his grandchild?" Carter embraced her tightly. "He'd want us to focus on the good memories. The love he gave. He wouldn't want us drowning in what-ifs." But Hope couldn't help mourning the life Liam was being robbed of. He was still the man who would do anything for his family. Even now, he was more worried about everyone else than himself. Back at the hospital, Finn confronted his mother, Lee, in his office. "She was your granddaughter," he said sharply. "You had no hope for her at all?" Lee's eyes narrowed. "She made her choices. And I stand by mine." But just then, a call from the surgical floor summoned Lee away, leaving Finn alone with his thoughts, and with Sheila's increasingly desperate voicemails begging him to be careful and to call her back. He didn't want to listen. But something about the urgency in her voice pulled him in. Steffi wasn't answering her phone. Neither was Liam. A knot of unease tightened in Finn's chest. Something was wrong. "Steffi's at the beach house," he muttered. Liam's voice came through next. "She's not answering me either. I'm closer to the art center. I'll go check." "Call me the moment you find her," Finn urged. Meanwhile, chaos erupted at the art center. Luna, deranged and trembling, held a gun on Steffi while Sheila bled on the floor from a bullet wound to the foot. The air was tense with danger and desperation. Steffi, terrified yet composed, pleaded for the chance to call an ambulance. "You were shot in the foot, Grandma. You're not going to die," Luna snapped coldly. She ranted at Steffi, blaming her for everything that had gone wrong in her life. For being kept from her father. For growing up with a void that nothing could fill. Steffi didn't deny that Luna's childhood had been painful. But she stood firm, there was no excuse for Luna's violence. You say you just wanted access to your father, Steffi said, her voice steady. But you came armed. This isn't a request. This is a threat. Luna's grip tightened on the weapon. Steffi tried to reason with her, admitting that maybe, just maybe, if Finn had raised her, she might have turned out differently. Luna's eyes glistened. So you do understand? No, Steffi replied softly. I understand your pain. But I will never feel safe around you again. You're going to prison. You've made sure of that. Suddenly, Liam burst in. Luna, drop the gun, he shouted. In the blink of an eye, Liam and Luna wrestled for control of the weapon. A gunshot rang out. Steffi screamed. Blood blossomed on Liam's shirt as he stumbled backward, collapsing to the floor. The moment froze. Time fractured. Sheila, unable to rise, knocked over an art supply box with all her strength. The loud crash momentarily distracted Luna. Liam, fueled by adrenaline, surged up and grabbed the gun. He pointed it at Luna as his body trembled from the gunshot wound. You won't shoot me, Luna said mockingly. You're weak. You never had it in you. I'm a dead man anyway, Liam whispered, before pulling the trigger. Luna's eyes widened in disbelief as she dropped to the floor, blood pooling beneath her. At that exact moment, Finn ran in, stopping short at the surreal scene, Liam barely breathing, Luna crumpled, Sheila bleeding, Steffi crying. Steffi, he yelled. Save Liam, she cried, kneeling beside him. Sheila, groaning in pain, echoed the plea. Forget me, help him. Finn was torn, eyes darting from Luna to Liam. God, there's so much blood. Steffi grabbed his face, forcing his gaze. Don't look at her, save him. Liam gasped faintly, save, save. Everything went white. And thus, the metaphorical baptism began, a cleansing by fire, blood, and raw emotion. A rebirth of truth, pain, and desperate hope. No one who walked into that beach house would leave unchanged. Encouraging words gave way to screams. Angry threats led to violent consequence. And from the ashes of betrayal and revelation, new truths waited to rise.